At the end of the last session, we saw that the father had accepted the prodigal son when he came home and had mentioned that I believe this son was well raised. I believe he made some bad decisions, but he had been well raised. Why do I say that? Because it says when he came to his senses. This young man had senses to come back to. The foundation had been laid, but for some reason he was under pressure and wanted to leave home before the right time, and his father allowed him to go, and he messed up his life. But when he came back to his senses, he decided, I'm going to go back home. Here's a question for you. You know, the English say that the wheel that squeaks gets the oil. In your house, are there children who squeak and want your attention? Are they the only ones who get the attention? In parenting, all wheels get oiled, the squeaking ones and the ones that are silent. Sometimes the silent, compliant child, like the elder brother of the prodigal son, is actually the more troublesome child in the end. This son did not want to go into the party. Their relationship with the prodigal son had been restored with the father, but now the relationship of the older son and the father is strained. And you can imagine what the relationship between the two boys looks like going forward. Now, what had the father done wrong to deserve this kind of treatment? The scripture does not tell us. I dare say the father had done nothing wrong to deserve this. And I'm giving you this story to let you know that you can do everything that you want to do right, and your children can still make wrong decisions. Some of you are thinking, so what is the point? Well, the point is this, that when you lay the foundation and your children choose to go contrary to what you taught them, when they come to their senses, they have a foundation to go back to. You've heard me say that if my children rebelled against God, I would be very, very sad. But I would not be guilty. Why? Because I showed them the right way and I connected them to God in their growing up years. If they rebelled, I would hope that one day they would come to their senses. And so as you raise your children, the big emphasis here is you being the right parent, giving your child a chance to follow your example. If at some point, like Adam and Eve, they decided not to follow God's example, you cannot blame God for not giving them the example. You can only blame the grown-up young men and young women for making bad choices. Now, in Galatians chapter 5, verse 13 and verse 15, it says, you, my brothers, who are called to freedom, only do not turn your freedom into an opportunity for the flesh. But if you bite and devour one another, watch out lest you be consumed by one another. In many homes, parents are always quarreling. You have to wonder why they ever got married in the first place. You know, if you had not married that woman, perhaps you would have met a more loving husband who would have married her. Or perhaps it is the woman who's quarrelsome. And if you had not married this man, perhaps you might have found a woman who was not as quarrelsome. Homes are always fighting, and people are fighting in the home. Parents are fighting, and children are watching. And the scripture says, watch out lest you consume one another. And the example we are setting for our children is biting and devouring one another. And when they leave home, that's the example of parenting that they take with them. Now let me ask you a question. Are you the kind of parent that ministers to your children, what we call a ministering parent, or are you a consuming parent? A consuming parent manipulates his children to get love, significance, and security from the children. We saw in a previous lecture how children are looking for these three qualities for themselves, and how parents are also looking for them, and how children can manipulate their parents to get them. But there are parents also who manipulate their children to be loved, to feel significant, and to feel secure. If you're the kind of parent that manipulates your children to receive these qualities, then you are a consumer parent. you are siphoning fuel out of your children. But if you're the kind of parent that ministers to them, that listens to them, that connects with them, and will be seeing in these sessions how to do that, 5 different ways to do that, then you are the kind of parent that ministers to them and builds them up.